Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you are, welcome. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and this is Rockin the Love.
Yep, that's what it is. You're
We're,
in the right
we're
place. So,
you're in the right place. We're excited to see you. Hey, I have a question though. It came to me right away, and that is, why do you look like you're bundled up for winter?
it's cold here. It's cold. It's 53 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
And tomorrow it's supposed to start a heat wave towards the weekend where it's going to be 80 plus.
Okay, all right.
So, I
Well,
guess
I was just wondering. I'm in shorts and t-shirts here, so
show off.
show off.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we are a married couple, if you can't tell. However, we live far, far away, many states in between us. I'm in California, and Gil is in New Mexico.
Not too many states, just a couple.
That depends how you drive. Anyway, we are here today and happy to be with you. We are going to be talking about Secret Service. What does that mean? That means we're going to be talking about secrets in relationships, secrets versus privacy. Um, I don't know how to decide when to share a secret.
Do you have a privacy policy in your relationships? You
Exactly.
know, I
Yeah,
mean,
all of those things, which are really great questions, especially, as you grow a relationship and if you're moving towards marriage or whatever, because there's a lot of things that are unspoken in relationships, and that's not always a good thing. So, we're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to talk about your week. How was your week, dear one?
my week has been good. It's been a lot going on, but it's good. I have family visiting here. Um, so that's changed things a little bit. That's been good. And gosh, I started a class that I'm teaching last week and looking forward to doing it again tonight. And so, yeah, that's kind of what's going on. Been riding my bike here and there.
Good.
Got in
Good job.
got a couple 3 miles or so, 3.5 miles in this morning. So not
Nice.
very far, but I got out. Have to get out early though.
Well, I don't know how many of us have gone 3.5 miles this morning. So, however you do it, I think it's a good thing, right?
Yep, yep. So, but when I weighed myself after my bike ride, I still was more than I was yesterday. So, I mean, this this tracking your physical health is kind of entertaining.
That's all an illusion.
It
You
is.
you did the work, so it'll show up when it shows up.
Yep.
Yeah. So my week, thanks for asking, was good. Busy. It's a busy month. It's a busy month, between Pride Month and graduation and Father's Day and more graduations. And I know I'm missing something else that happened, but it's just busy. Like, it doesn't seem like there's downtime. But much congratulations to all of my beloved practitioner students out there that have graduated or are working on that. That's a very exciting time in a practitioner student's life, is when they can know that they no longer have class.
Well, I'd like to extend the same congratulations and to those that I get an opportunity to help with paneling on this Saturday. So, um, yeah, it's kind of fun. I get to work with another center here in town and help them with paneling their pracs.
Yeah, I'm paneling this weekend too with Las Vegas. So
All right.
yeah, panels are next. Panels are next up. But students, if you're listening, or anyone that has to do any kind of testing like this, it is not a test. It is just a testimony of your love of God, of spirit, of the divine, whatever you want to call it. Let go of all those illusions around it and just settle into what you've been doing for the last years. and know the truth. You got this. I know that. That's it.
Show up. Show up. That's the biggest thing. Really
Yep.
show up. Don't
Yeah,
hide.
absolutely. So, before we do anything else, we'd like to do the good news.
The good news.
And this is a time when we like to say what's good in the world because we all know we can find enough things to bitch and moan about. So, here it is.
All right.
What do you got?
So I've got a gift certificate that was given to a couple when they got married in 1983, which guaranteed them the same rate at the hotel anytime they came back that they paid for their honeymoon.
Wow.
And of course, hotels changed hands. It's been updated. All this stuff has happened, and they're going there for their whatever anniversary that, or went there this last weekend or something for their anniversary and paid their $38 a night, and everybody was happy. So there you go. I thought
That's
that was kind of
amazing.
fun and
Yeah,
neat.
that's super fun.
Oh, and also, it was from Kansas City, which I thought was kind of funny since we were just there.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
yeah.
that's cool. I heard another story. Somebody was telling me yesterday about a guy that I don't know if you remember, like I don't know if it was like in the 90s or the 70s or I don't know. But back then, um, when they had like a promotion for buy all you can, always all you can fly, and you
Oh,
buy
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
on the airlines, it was like $200,000 or something like that. And
Uh-huh.
it was on United, and he still uses it today. He's gone millions and millions of dollars worth. He can just walk and get on any United flight and go. And
Yeah.
that's so amazing.
Yeah.
That
The other
is so
part
cool.
I saw in there that was cool was that he he's on the plane overnight many times. So he uses it as a hotel.
That's funny. That's funny. That's amazing. Okay, well, my story, I decided I was going to do a little bit more because I'm keenly aware that we did not highlight Pride Month this month, and and I know it's such a big part of our lives, and it's so important just to be supportive. So I'm just going to run through a couple of things that that yeah. Sorry, I was trying to figure. No, I was trying to figure out what that noise was, but maybe you muted or something. So here we go. In the last few years, I think that we've made great strides in Pride. So I'm just going to highlight that from in the last couple of years, we've had the first openly transgender judge in state history appointed in the state of New York. We've had the nation of Angola officially decriminalize same-sex relationships. We've had a Tennessee organization working to solve homelessness among transgender women by building tiny homes and giving them a place to live. And I actually did a little research into this one, and it said at least 44 transgender people were killed in 2020 and at least 38 in 2022. And as of May 11th in 2023, we had 11 people, as transgender killed, and more than 70% of these victims are trans women of color. Just so you know, so I'm just appreciative and grateful for people taking notice and really trying to solve these kind of problems. We had a record number of LGBTQ athletes compete in the Summer Olympic Games back in Tokyo. And at least 27 different countries were represented by at least one publicly out athlete. We had a court rule that Japan's failure to recognize same-sex marriage is unconstitutional. Um, we had Dr. Rachel Levine become the first openly transgender federal official to be confirmed by the Senate. Um, We had an organization in Canada, Canada-based Rainbow Railroad, that has helped more than 800 persecuted LGBTQ plus people from over 38 countries travel safely. The U.S. restored health care protection for gay and transgender people. Israel lifted denigrating restrictions on blood donations by gay men. That's huge. A new study found that suicide rates fell by 46% after gay marriage was legalized in Sweden and Denmark.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And we had NFL player Carl Nassib announce he's gay and made $100,000 donation to the Trevor Project. That was last year. There's a new Alabama law that will remove all anti-LGBTQ language from the state's education curriculum. And British veterans who were dismissed for being gay or LGBTQ can now reclaim their medals.
Mm.
I just think all of that is huge. And I just want to end with a story that is actually timely, happening right now, happened last week, I believe, that the first openly transgender judge in the state history was just appointed in New York. So it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, it's, we don't feel it all the time, but when you look at the difference that things are making, it's huge. So I just want to say, yeah.
Yeah. What we hear about is what, is the places where we still need work. And we do need work. And wow, that's incredible.
It is incredible. So happy Pride Month. And I have a quote here that I'll share with you, that remember that as you celebrate this whole month of how you are liberated.
Mm.
And I would say not only this month, just remember all the time how precious this thing called freedom is. So that's my good news. Lots of good news.
So we can look at the world with incredible possibility, and how we can live together as people is so much more than it has been. And that's exciting. That's exciting. So we're going to invite everyone to let us know you're out there. If you're with us today, say hello. Let us know where you're watching from, and tell us what you think, what your questions are. And I think it's fascinating that our topic today is Secret Service, which is about secrets. And one of the key things around LGBTQ people has been having to survive in secrecy.
There you go.
So, wow. It's so good that that's being slowly eliminated.
Yes.
Fewer and fewer are feeling that need. And I'm sure that's part of what those changes in suicide rates and stuff indicate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yay. So just take a breath into that. And just know that together we really are making a change. And that we are going to do more of that right after this commercial break, right here on New Thought Media Network. So stay here.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
Hello and welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
I'm Gil.
And I'm Robyn.
And this is Rockin the Love. Here we are, last January in June of 2023. Last Wednesday, the last January? Anyway, Wednesday of June 2023. And we're talking about Secret Service. What the heck's that about?
Secret. We're talking about secrets and privacy and how much relationship privacy does one need, and just what it means. Because when we brought up this topic, I really realized again that this is one of the things that really, it's not something you talk about before you get married, like where's the boundary limits? I mean, yes, of course you expect honesty and things like that, but there's a difference between like secrets versus privacy in a relationship. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Difference between, just things that are and of course this also affects different relationships in different ways, which things are considered privacy and which things are considered secrets, and that changes with who we relate to.
Okay, but is that true? Because privacy refers to, for me, privacy refers like to your personal boundaries about your history, your thoughts, your opinions, your, experiences maybe that were separate or prior to your partner or to this relationship. Secrecy, on the other hand, involves something that you're intentionally hiding from your partner.
Right. And there are some things that you may maintain as private in some places, but you don't want to share with your partner. So it becomes a secret because you're concerned about their reaction. Right? I mean, sometimes I'd be concerned about what the response would be and would they still like me and would this mess something up? And what if they knew that I did X, Y, or Z, or, even though it's not the kind of thing that you would go around just talking to people about anyway. So in that regard, it would be something that's dealing in privacy, but with a partner, it might be different.
Right. Right. I mean, I just think that's interesting because, so I was looking at a list of secrecy versus privacy. and it said, secrecy is dishonest, violates trust, intentionally hides or misleads, hurtful and disruptive, and can be toxic. Which is all it can be, but when I hear you say it, I think about it being a different way, that it doesn't
Right.
necessarily have to be.
Well, I think it can be toxic. Yeah, I so it brings up a really interesting question, particularly when you said things that may have occurred prior to a particular relationship. So, what agreements, what understanding has happening in a relationship which would govern what things one should disclose, right? I mean, because it may not be kept intentionally as a secret, but if you have the agreement that yeah, we want to know everything about each other about such and such topic,
Mm-hmm.
then if I don't reveal it, then I'm being secretive. Then it
Right.
becomes a secret. Then it becomes toxic.
Right.
Even though if the agreement was different, it may not be a secret. It just would be a point of privacy.
Right. So, on the other hand, what this article said was privacy is not dishonest, does not violate trust, involves being unobserved and alone, not disruptive or harmful, and healthy.
Healthy. Oh, interesting. That's interesting definitions. But I think the violates trust piece is a huge piece of it. In fact, I know this is something that you and I have talked about and dealt with, and that's that part of the thing with secrecy is that usually then it involves the covering up aspect of it, which is the lying, which then creates a story around it, right?
Mhm.
And so what this that I found said that lying is essentially emotionally and and cognitively dissonant to believe anyone you love could be betraying you. It's emotionally and cognitively dissonant to believe someone that you love is betraying you, which is why when a partner lies, then that becomes the bigger issue usually, and usually people are responding to that, the cover up, rather than the event or the whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. And I want to welcome Rev Kevin to the show. And I think what he says sort of is incorporated in that. He says, why does one have or keep a secret? Within most secrets is a little yet to be healed, blame, shame, regret. Does the relationship have the stuff to heal someone's secret?
I don't know that a relationship, quote unquote, can heal a secret, but can a relationship maintain and support someone in their healing of something, of a secret?
Yeah, this just got much more complex than it was in my mind. There's so many aspects to it. I mean, because what's coming up for me that's unrelated, so I don't want to go to it necessarily because I think these are good questions to be answered. But I'm thinking about also there's times when you don't even know you're keeping a secret. Like I was thinking about, I don't know why it keeps popping up for me when we were getting married. And Reverend Carol was like, does your family know that Robyn is African American? Well, it wasn't a secret,
No.
but
Nobody was hiding it.
nobody was hiding it, but it was potential. It was the potential to be a secret
Or
for
to be
them,
viewed as a secret.
be viewed as a secret. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because you don't present to too many white people. You don't present as African American necessarily. And when your family shows up, they present a little more clearly as African Americans. So that was the thought, like, well, when her family shows up, what are you going to do if they don't know this?
Yeah. Our minister wanted to make sure that they knew before they got there so that it wouldn't
Yeah.
be a thing if it
Right.
was going to be a thing. Yeah. But so there's secrets like that too that we may not even think of that are later perceived as secrets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, Kevin, we forgive you for your typing.
Okay, what
What?
question are we talking about? What are we? I got lost. Where?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that one where you have secrets that may show up at some point and somebody goes, well, that was a secret. Why did you keep that from me? Whereas the person, quote, holding it may not have perceived it to be of any consequence. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what we were talking about there.
I do. I mean, I was thinking about a situation the other day I was in actually with my high school friends who you all have met. And a story got told where that they didn't have a piece of the puzzle too, except for one person who had been my best friend who knew, everything. And they were surprised and all that. And I was thinking just now that I guess it was a secret. I mean, it was a secret. I clearly didn't go around giving everybody every piece of the puzzle, but I never do. So, and then how it felt when they knew, like, it felt weird because it was like,
Why didn't you tell us this 40 years ago?
They didn't really sound like that. I mean, a little bit. Yeah, I guess they did a little bit. But on the other hand, I was like, because it was none of your business. I mean, I didn't say that. So if y'all are tuning in, sorry. But I mean, you know what I mean? At that particular point, it was like, I didn't need to tell everybody. I don't know. It's tricky.
Well, see, that's another piece. And that is, what is privacy? And, something I was reading, made the example where some people don't share a lot unless they really feel compelled to. And other people will tell you stuff you really don't want to know. And you barely met them. They're just totally free with this information, whatever it is. So there's a whole range of space in there, what people feel like is theirs and what it's okay to share. And I think the piece that gets into the secret fact is, if I'm afraid that it will impact, if I'm holding it in fear that someone might find out, then that's going to be a secret, versus it's just not something I advertise, because it is what it is, right? Because, yeah, something you said earlier relates to that, but does that make any sense?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, so I think should we be transparent with everyone?
Right.
I mean,
about everything.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, what's the boundary on? I mean, or what's the? I mean, I think I'm as transparent as I can be. Does that mean I'm telling everybody everything? No. But in
If
the
someone
moment,
asked you,
I'm transparent with how I'm feeling or what's going on for the most part. You know what I mean? If somebody asks me, Yeah.
Yeah.
But then that begs the question also, well, this topic is kind of twisty turny because it doesn't really stay in like what we talked about. But I mean, that begs the question, is honesty the best policy?
Right. Right.
I mean, you know, can you ask me a question and can I answer it honestly and know that it's not going to make you happy? I mean, just taking in a relationship when, just say, for example, you've brought home a box of candy or flowers, and I'm like, oh, great, thanks. I mean, I'd probably be a little more enthusiastic. Oh, thanks. But, and you're like, well, you know, don't you love, caramel filled chocolates? And if I don't, what do do I say, yeah, no? Or do I go, but sweetie, that was just the thought? Or I mean, how do you know what I mean? You don't want to hurt somebody, and yet you don't want another box of chocolate caramels, you know?
So would it be a secret that you didn't like chocolate caramels?
Well, but would that be the time to tell them?
Not necessarily, but would it become a secret?
No.
Oh,
But
I
I'm
mean, I'm
not
just
being,
saying,
but I was on the transparent with everyone.
yeah, yeah, that honesty is the best policy kind of question. Yeah, I mean, I think all of that, how we communicate with one another and when we communicate and with what guardrails we communicate, all that stuff is nuanced and important, and some could, and some in fact do, get will argue sometimes that, well, you didn't say X, so therefore you were keeping a secret, or that kind of thing. um and then it becomes an issue because I brought you these chocolates, you didn't tell me you didn't like it, now I brought them again, and that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because the valid reasons that you're keeping the secret from your partner or person is you don't want to hurt them. You don't want to
Right.
embarrass them. You don't want it to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point it becomes something else if they don't know. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So how does one decide when to share a secret?
That's a good question. um is there a time? And I think in a partnership, there has to be some agreements um about how each other is listened to and how things show up, and when what kind of response we give when somebody tells us something that they've been holding. How do we deal with that? And so there's all of that in it.
Well, yeah, and I think yes, I totally agree, and I think back to the honesty piece. I mean, it's always important. I mean, honesty is like the cornerstone of trust in a relationship, right? And if you can't believe what your partner says or your best friends say,
Yep.
then they're not reliable, or whatever. And so I think when you have that honesty, it serves, I don't know, it's a sign of respect, and and you're showing that you have that level of relationship where you can trust your partner or your friend enough to disclose things about yourself that might be more personal.
So what is it that causes us to hold a secret? Because I think that goes to a really important point. I think many of us are holding something because we feel shame or regret or something that in us, it's our own thing. And so the not sharing it with someone else is not coming to terms with it yourself.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think Rev Kev's question in the beginning touched on that. And I think that yeah, I think that a lot of times when you have a secret, um, you're not there's shame and regret, and there's some level of not wanting to face responsibility.
Oh,
Say,
absolutely.
and you sound like you're speaking from experience, dear.
I'm speaking from the eye. Yes.
Mm. Um, yeah, and so if you're withholding that information or from your partner, then I think it works like a double-edged sword because it's eating at you as well.
Right. Right.
So
I read some stuff about various studies that have been done, which show the amount of physical impact holding secrets has,
yeah,
that kind of thing. It was like, wow, it was very interesting that it was measurable, not only, people's physical health, how they felt, um, what, how often they got a cold, you know,
yeah,
stuff like
it
that.
increases your blood pressure and all
Yeah,
of those things. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So there's a difference in though if I'm holding a secret. I maybe I should ask: is there a difference if I'm holding a secret that I'm having an affair, or that I didn't that I got a parking ticket?
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference.
Yeah,
Sure.
there's a difference, but it's still secrets.
But I think perhaps, the personal impact might be different depending on how you viewed those things. If if somebody thinks that their partner or whoever it is they don't want to tell about the parking ticket, or they're really embarrassed because they keep doing this thing and parking where they're not supposed to and not paying attention, then that could become pretty painful. But in general, it wouldn't seem to me like that would be as painful as holding something as important as an affair, right?
Right.
Right.
Well,
Right.
no, yes, of course, on the first glance, that's right. But I'm, my thought process was, is that true? Is that true?
Yeah.
How much, we put, when you say having an affair, we put the judgment on that. And
Yeah.
made me think like, I don't know, if I was having an affair, hard to talk in the eye in this moment. But if I was having an affair, I don't know necessarily. Depending upon how I came to you, if I was able to really be honest and say, I just felt like I was lacking this, that, and the other thing, and I needed this, that, and the other thing, and this is what I learned, and this is what I get from you, and this is what I want. You know, I don't know. Obviously, there's a little shock value in there. You might still be stuck on the fact that I was having an affair, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we take it through? Is it for me? And you know this, Gil. I'm continually saying to you, I'm on your team. So there's nothing that you can say to me in authenticity and integrity that I'm going to be crazy about. If you say it to me meanly, if you did it to hurt me, that's a different thing.
Right. Rev Kevin asked, does parking ticket secret harm trust as much as a fair secret? And again, I think at some level in general, we probably judge it as yes, but it may have more to do with the agreements that people have in their relationship.
Yeah.
If somebody keeps spending money or whatever, and isn't honest about what's going on, that may be a real sticking point.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think you can say, yeah, technically it doesn't sound as harmful as an affair. And like you just said, Gil, I think it depends on the agreements of the relationship. And I mean, at the bottom line, the bottom goal, I mean, the both situations are the thing that's really driving them is some kind of insecurity around something specific.
Well, yeah, it's some kind of shame. It may be some kind of issue with the other partner and how they treat the one with the secret in general. It could be some level of abusive control on the part of somebody. And so something as simple as a parking ticket, someone doesn't feel like they can reveal, you know. So there's a lot of stuff in there. A lot of stuff.
Yeah. So how do we decide when it's time to share a secret? Like, when do you know? I mean, I think when you are having a physical response, like you said, if you find yourself very stressed out, or your blood pressure increases, or you're freaking out, you're perspiring more, or you find yourself not wanting to go home, or not wanting to be with the person, or not wanting to be in those situations where your partner might want to talk,
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
kind of things.
Well, what struck me as you said that was sort of the deathbed confession,
Mm.
and how people can hold it until this place where it's like, well, it can't screw me up any more than I already am. you know um and I don't know if that's about, did they really take responsibility in that moment? Did they just decide, forget it, I don't care, but somebody should know? I don't know. But um there's that kind of revelation. And then there's, like you said, within context of a relationship, something that's being held. And then when is it appropriate? For me, in part, it's appropriate when I've processed it enough to be able to deal with it myself to some degree.
Yes, I think that's key in some ways, because I think if you're honest with yourself, you have to take yourself through a journey of some kind of processing, some kind of asking yourself why you're holding on to the secret, and what's really coming up for you. And if I'm not telling my partner something, is that because I could never tell my parents anything? And and is that whatever, you know what I mean? But I mean, getting some kind of idea, like really where it comes from or stems from, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and sometimes that's not particularly pleasant for the recipient of said information while they're waiting for that to happen, if you will, and sensing that something's going on. I mean, as a example, I think of when I went through that interview and I couldn't talk for 2 days or 3 days or whatever it was. I just couldn't talk about it. It was too much, and I couldn't deal with myself and how I felt about it and what my feelings were around it enough to be able to talk to you. So in a sense, I kept all the events of that time secret from you because I couldn't talk about it.
Right. Right. And I think that brings up a good point, because I think, how do you share a secret? Like, I think, you find yourself in a relationship and realize there's something you need to say. And I think there's good ways and bad ways that can happen, or better ways that it can happen. And I think part of that is, when you said, like, for example, when you came to me and you couldn't talk about it, but clearly I knew that you were stressed out and upset and whatever, and things were going on. There's, for me, my love language, I need to be reassured. I love you. I see you. I'm not leaving you. It doesn't have anything to do with you. You're the best thing that ever happened in my life. I can't talk about it right now. I need to hear like these checkpoints of that will make me comfortable and able to be supportive. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you did that or not, but we're far enough along in this game that I knew you were speaking your truth, that you needed that space. And I think kind of what it's when you're preparing to share secret with your partner, I think you have to be prepared in that way. I mean, I think in some ways you have to be so grounded and so prepared that it you know exactly who you are and what you're doing on some level, like, so that you don't go into a place of defensive or hurt or anger back at the person, and
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, because the other person is just being let in on the information. So their emotions and responses are all raw without any process,
Right.
and that's something we forget, that we have to stand in a place if we come to someone with something that we've held, not only of being honest, but at some level holding them through the process. If we really want, if the outcome is to maintain relationship, if that's what's desired. So in the interest of time, etc., I want to be sure that we mention what Kevin said. I think it's interesting. Relationships start with near 100% secrecy and privacy. And I get that, in the sense that you just, you meet someone, you don't have any connection. And then as it grows, the percentages decrease. And the ideal intention is for privacy to be learned and preserved, while secrecy can approach zero. That's interesting. I just think it's an interesting comment. I have one more thing I really want to share with you, Robyn, and with all of our listeners. And
Are
this
you
is from
going
an
to tell a
article.
secret?
I'm going to tell a secret. This is from someone named Suzanne Phillips, writing in Psych Central in 2016. But she says this: one of the worst kept secrets in a marriage is love and appreciation of one partner by the other. I was like, whoa, I didn't think of that in that way. But when we don't express it, when we don't do something to show it, in essence, we're holding it back. We're holding it as a secret, and the other person doesn't know. Like, when you said, I need to know that you're not leaving me, and I'm the most important thing. And, I'm on the other side thinking, why the hell don't you know that? But at some level, because I haven't told you in the ways that allow you to hear it, or whatever, but that idea.
Yep. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Venus and Mars and the world of marriage and partnership. But it's so true. It's so true. And I think that the longer you're in a relationship like that, the more you feel like that. So you're like, oh, for crying out loud, we've been together 20 years. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't be here. It doesn't work that way for us. It doesn't. I mean, for me,
You know what I just thought of was Fiddler on the Roof. That scene where she asks him if he loves her, and he's like, "What? Of course I love you."
there you go. Well, I don't know. There's so much more to say about this, but there's not enough time. So maybe we'll come back to it at some point, because I think there's different ways to share secrets, and, like not telling your partner at bedtime or when they're grumpy or drinking or things like that, you know. I mean, really, you know, I just encourage anyone out there that thinks, oh, this is a sign I need to talk to my partner about X. Just, you know, be centered and know exactly why it's important now, and you know, come with love. Come with love.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kevin. We obviously are obsessed with how not to tell a secret in our society. Um, are we teasing anything about next week?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to tease that we do have a guest coming next week. I'm very excited. And in fact, Rev Kev is going to be our guest next week. And we are going to have a fun discussion then. And I'm excited about it. And we look forward to seeing everybody on Rockin the Love in a week.
Yes, we do. Thank you for joining us, and keep on rocking the love, everybody. The world needs it. Mwah.